Hello, hi everyone, welcome on board. This is Kleintech Designs. Welcome to our YouTube channel. If you're new to our channel, kindly subscribe, like our page, share, and we shall be grateful. Here we are going to take you through a walk of the Archicad tutorials. Stay tuned for more of our episodes on a weekly basis. Thank you so much for staying tuned with us. Watch until the end. We shall So once you've downloaded the Archicad software into your PC, you're gonna see the Archicad icon as the program opens. So being it's a large file, a large program, it will take time, a little bit of time to open. So once we have the software with us, we're gonna create new project. We stick to a working unit and set to standard profile, then you hit OK. You give it time to open at its load the software libraries. So I'm gonna take you on how to get started and create a workspace setups and more of it. So on our first step, we're going to have an introduction to the virtual building concept and the Archicad environment. So we have to learn about the virtual concept of the software. After that, we're going to go to the next procedure, which will be going to the precise placement and measurement, adding more elements to the model introduction, to editing, changing parameters and styles within the Archicad software. Then after that, another program will be loading up, and I'll be issuing you with the links as to how to know on how to extending the virtual building and adding the stories, sections, elevation, basic roof constructions, the virtual trays, additional editing options, as we go into the defining of views, the working with the layers, adding annotations like the text, dimensions, labels, and placing your drawings onto the layout sheet. Work with the layout book. Until that, we're going to see on how to setting organization, worksheet numbering, and title block. And upon that, after that, we'll go into the construction documentation with detailing, like detailing of the section, workplace, importing of the DWG files as we go into that. So, and again, we'll have to look at the interior elevation schedules and indexes terrain, and we'll be modeling using a slab tool and marquee visualization and stretching by definition areas. So this is our Archicad interface software, and on our left hand side we have our design. We have our design tools. These are the tools that help us in modeling a structure. Then on our documentation we have dimension, level dimension, we have text, line and polylines, we have the section and elevations, and to that we have more. We have more for the grid elements, we have the wall ends and corners. And to this we have a morph tool that helps us to create our working terrains. This must basically when doing landscaping with the zone, it's very important, and together with the mesh tool. Now on top we have our design document optionals, as you have seen down there. For the optional, it helps us to set the element snap, the surface snap, the project preference, where we'll be able to change our working unit according to our preference of workings. Same to as our team projection. This is the team when we'll be working and doing a project in conjunction with others. So for the windows, we have our toolbars and the platelets, the floor plan and 3D windows. Then we have a help button here. For the help button here, it helps you to get assistance whenever you are stuck. So on our right, and we have our navigator project. On our navigator project, we have our project mapping. You'll see our story settings, the elevations, the interior elevation, the worksheets, details, and 3D documentation. We have our generic projections. We also have all our indexes, the list of the quantities that we are going to know, the project indexes, information to that contains the miscellaneous that we will need. And then we have our layout book. We'll be able to place our drawing and according to our master layer that will help you to create one. Then we have our project, the publisher sets, where we'll be able to set your drawings and produce them in either DWG files and whichever to their preference. We have the PNG files and so on. Then also we have scales which you can set to a standard, as we have need a bigger scales for site plan layout. It depends with how you would like to create yours. So this is the interface program with the grid elements. So after this we are going to the next setup, where I'll show you now to create a grid element as to your preference. Stay tuned for more and get to learn the software interface. Thank you. Archicad getting started tutorial. We can start by first of all changing on our story settings. We can come here to the story settings. You left click, you go to story settings. On your story settings, when here we have a ground floor, we can choose to write that we can choose a particular height of the wall that you need. Maybe you can choose 3 meters, and just come on top, maybe use 3 meters for both of them. Use 3 meters. On the elevations will change automatically unto themselves. So provided we want to add, maybe here was our first story, maybe our first story from this end. Sorry, this is our first story. Our first story settings here. Then the next will be our next story. So this will be our second story. So provided we want to add a roof, just come here and insert above. So that will be our roof. So while setting on our roof, when you come to the roof height, choose a suitable height that is above the all height that you had chosen before, so that in any case it will help us, our roof will not be able to hang. So from the ground floor we insert below. Maybe here we have our foundation. Maybe we are doing our drawings in areas which are terrained. So for our foundation, maybe our foundation will go to maybe 450 from the ground. Maybe the floor. Yes, sorry, this is our foundation. So maybe our foundation will go, for the thickness of slab, our foundation maybe 150 up to that point. So after doing that, and you want to delete, you just hit delete and the story will delete. So in our case, we're gonna hit OK. So once we hit OK, we have all our story updated here on both our project map and our view map. All of them is set up. So upon doing that, the next procedure we're gonna do is to go to options. We go to project preference, working units. We change our units. So for the standards, I'm gonna use millimeters, and I don't prefer any decimal place. So on our angle unit, we're going to decimal degree. Layout unit is in millimeter, decimal 000, and I'm gonna hit OK. I'm going to just go back to options, project preference. Then I go to dimensions. After going to dimensions, I'm gonna use plain millimeters. So plain millimeters. Here we can select the type, select dimension type. You choose the dimension type you wanna use. Here we have the angular dimension, we have the radial dimension, here we have the level dimension, here we have the elevation dimension, door and window skylight dimensions. All of these are going to be in millimeters. So pointing that, I don't prefer any working near it, round off to the nearest 0. So not to the nearest, so that you don't have decimal places, a lot of them. So we're gonna hit OK. So here we have our interface. We have the elevations. So we can use the elevation. You can modify and custom them as by to your choice of preference. Once you control shift, then you select, you'll see a green mark there. Then you just come to the viewpoint here, you hit there, you select the drawing, first place drawing. You come, you select onto that, you roll your wheel onto his, then you select and choose your windows according to your preference. So when you come to this point here, we can edit from this point. Maybe we want this to be front view. After hitting front view, it will change automatically. As you can see, I've changed it in this direction. You can uplift them and place them to points where of your preference, the areas that you'd like them to be. For example, ctrl+shift+D command, you hit it. After hitting it, it will go to the directions where you want it. you take them up, you take them down or rather up. This is the drag tool, so when you drag them onto where you'd prefer, then remember to use your shift because your shift is the ruler. Then you hit OK and we have it there placed. So as we go into that, we're going to go to the grid element settings and see how we can work with our grid elements. Then as you can see, we no longer have a grid display, so it's plain here as you can see it. So we come to grid edit plain display, then you just hit it there. So you want to edit the plain display, you come like this, you just go to add view, you come to grid and edit plain options, grid and backgrounds. So here we go. As you can see, we also have orthographic grid, we have rotation grid, we have set rotation grid, but for our case we need grid and background settings. So for our grid and background settings, we have a look at the spacing here. We can choose to prefer to use the 2 meters spacing for every grid here. Then we also have our steps here that you can use to choose our grid elements here. So you're gonna come here and hit for spacings here, maybe for this particular spacing that we have here. So for the window palette, we're gonna use as you're gonna see our spacing here, then we're gonna strict to the spacing for this, maybe it be 500, then we go down this way 500. So as we have a look at it, that is change the interface. So we can see we have a rotation angle here. So this from the local origin along the x-axis and this along the y-axis. So for the snap and grid nudge spacing, we can just retain for the 50, so yeah, it's okay like that. So here we go. For the background color, we're gonna need to change okay, anyway, for this one, it's gonna help you guys to get the ability to do the angular window grid, because maybe it's going to help maybe for doing the road design and so on. As you can see here we have our rotation grid options. As you can see, then you can grid display it on or off, but in this particular place we're gonna change our grid color. So as you can do, if you want to do that, what you're gonna do is double click that and choose our suitable color that you'd prefer to use in the grid. So maybe we can go with that one, then add to custom color, hit OK, then we hit OK and check. It will change for us, so it is upon us to choose and to which color we would prefer to begin our drawings with. So having done that, so this one you can continue to custom it as per your preference, and so according to your choice how you would wish to continue to drawing. So having done that, we can go straight away to our, let's say maybe we want to draw, let's go to the design and design tool for a wall. So we have wall here, let's gonna click the wall tool there. So I want to start doing our walling, you go to not linked, then we come here, we're gonna choose the structural basis for our wall. So for the generic display, maybe we need a concrete structural wall, and our wall thickness for the outer one, maybe we're gonna hit 200. Then we have our this is our geometric method. This is our straight for drawing. This is poly wall corners that I use as they help us to come up with our corners as per to what we need. So when you come here, this is our wall complexity. This is for the straight line, slanted, double slanted, help us to achieve every corners that you want to. These are slanted and every sort of it. So reference line, we draw here in center line for us to be able to achieve whatever we need to. So our wall height, we're gonna use 3 meters. So we're gonna use 3 meters. So reference is according to our foundation that we had chosen. We're gonna come to model, we're gonna hit and click them, then we linked, then we choose maybe we wanna use stucco white rough, then you hit OK. So having done that, we can see our wall tool. You can edit our wall tool, select it, and do whatever you wish to do with it. So having done that, we have all those our corners that help us to come up with several dimensions, or rather several shapes, when it comes to our drawing that I'm going to show you right up. Okay, so as we proceed from this point of view here, as I told you before, that grid will help us to, when we are designing maybe roads, or maybe we are designing roads or other houses to perpendicular roads. So we're gonna need to activate, we go to view, we're gonna need to activate our grid display. We have our grid as you can see it here. So having done that, we go to view, we go to grid and edit plane of view. So when we have this one, we have our orthographic grid, or maybe we have a rotated grid. So as you can see, it is rotated. So maybe when we had a house that is going onto the direction of a road, maybe perhaps, so, and we needed to change it to certain degrees. So when we'll have a look at this, we will be able to view that point of view, or maybe maybe if you hit our 3D view by pressing F3 on your PC for the control command line. So as you can see, having this here, we are able, from our grid element, we are able to see the particular house at an angle, right? So that is why it is important when doing your grids, as maybe when we needed to edit a point of road in a particular angle, so we'll be able to do that. So as we go back to F2 command line, just on your PC, we'll be having that. So as we had set our wall, maybe we needed to do on our, these are geometrical methods. We have different geometrical methods when coming up with a wall. So we have this, we have a curved, we have a center point and radius for the curve. Then we have our, we have single, we have chain, we have a rectangular, we have rectangular, yeah, as well, rotated rectangular, that is. So upon that, we will be having, this is for our curved, and this one here is for our trapezoidal, and this one is for your polygon. So maybe in this particular place we needed a circular center. We radius, we start from our point of center line, we hit to the area that we need. Maybe we needed 2 meters, we hit, then we hit OK. So we'll be able to rotate and achieve a particular circular that we need for us, and we can view it in our 3D. You can see that we have that particular circular that we needed. So having done that, we go to our 2D. So Archicad basically helps us to draw our drawings in both 2D and 3D elements, as they are all in conjunction together. So as you can see here as well, we have our, we can choose the trapezoidal tool. Maybe we were drawing our retaining wall to some 10 degrees. So when you see that, you'll be able to see the difference between when you use a trapezoidal and when we use a wall, maybe for example our straight wall. In this, there will be a difference into it. So having done that, when we come up with we were drawing a house probably, and our house had the dimensions with us. So the simplest thing you can do after having set your wall tool, you just come here. Having done this, you come and click, you click it at an angle, because it's located strictly at an angle. So when you click it, you see here we have this one help us to draw from one point of center line directly to the point of where our dimensions writings will be ending, and this one help us to come up with the rectangular shape view in point. For example, we have a rectangular here, so we needed to come up with our rectangular in this particular manner. We are able to draw it and set it to a point. This as well as when you use this one here. So this is a rotated rectangular. So when you draw this rotated rectangular, there will be a difference when it comes to the point of view. Let me hit F3 so that we can see our point of view. You will be able to note the difference into between. This was our circular, and this one here was a trapezoidal. This was our straight, this is a rectangular, this is a rotated rectangular. We go back to hit F2, and see how to come up with this one. So maybe we chose to use the chain. So chain, we have from the point of origin, we go straight to the dimension, the angle we know, we stay strict, we just go like that, and then we connect them to hit OK. Okay, so as we proceed, maybe let me just go that. As we proceed, maybe this was our point of origin. Maybe we go to a certain direction, we use our center line. Maybe we are going up to about the 2 meters. Then we shall go like that, we hit. It will give us a point of reference that our 2 meters. We go up to the same line, then we hit it. So we'll realize that all our, when you use a chained one, both of them will be linked. So provided we want to outlink, so once we hit ctrl+shift, then we select the particular wall, you come up here and we suspend all the groups. So you can use a command line, you can just use a command line alt then G. Once you do that, you should have suspended all the walls. As you can see, I can be able to select all. So if not doing that, maybe let me just choose like this. We'll do ctrl+shift. Sorry, just use your shift to select. So maybe you wanted to suspend all the group, you just come here and click and suspend all the groups. So once done, that one is done, all your drawing, everything that you do here, all of them will be reflected onto your view maps. As you can see, for our foundation, we have the same thing. The ground floor, we got nothing on the, we have something on the ground floor there. Then you can see when you go up on the first floor, there's nothing, as well as compared to this other end. So it reflects everything you do, it reflects. As well as when you come up to this particular layout of ours, when you go to the ground, everything you do to that extent will automatically reflect on our view map. As you can see, this is all we have from our view map. So everything reflects up to the point where we would be going for the printing of our stuff. So as you can see that we can see all our elevations, we have them with us here. They've already created themselves. As you can see, for example, let's have analyze one part of it. So as you can see, we had our ground floor and we had our foundation at -150, which we have from this point to this point. As you can see, then our ground floor begins at this point, going up onto the first story. It continues this way up to your last, where we had our roofing. So if you can see, even from this point, we can do a selection. Probably maybe our roof was extending up there. It will, the chain will continue again and again and again. So that is what we have. As you want to proceed, so let's go back to our ground floor. So we have our ground floor. So the next thing we're gonna do here is now see on how we can continue with our design. So basically, upon doing that, all this design tool, when we come to Windows, we'll go to setting dialog, we set all our windows, every other element within the design tool we shall see on how to go into that. Just quick random up, we have our mesh tool here. Probably let's take our mesh tool and do something with the mesh tool. So maybe we had our height for a mesh tool probably at 20. Then we got -20, we chose up to be the grass. Then we just go quickly, we hit OK. Then we'll do something of the sort. So we go for the rectangular generic projection. Then we have something like this. In that, after having this, when you hit your F3, you will be able to see the difference between using the mesh tool, the zone tool, and the morph tool, as I had told you before. So stay tuned for more of our tutorial for the Archicad beginners. We are here to grow up with one another. So our next episode will pick on our project, and we shall proceed with our project as from the first step to the next step until the last lineage of the project. So stay tuned for more of our tutorials. This was under the courtesy of Kleintech Farm. Their tutor was Joseph Otumba. So welcome for more of our tutorials on a weekly basis. Stay tuned for more. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Until then, stay tuned. Remember to subscribe, hit the like button, share, and wait for the next episode. Thank you so much.